Hello there, good morning everyone. This is Mr. Shang from Mantissa College. Welcome to the DBA live trial class that is held on the 30th of January 2021. So basically we will just wait for a couple of minutes until the rest of the guests joins our sessions, and then I will start the briefing for the DBA programs accordingly. All right, so please, of course, if you have any questions throughout the program, please feel free to drop the comments into the comment box, and then I'll try my best to reply to the question posted accordingly. So we will just wait for a couple of minutes before we start this session. So just wait for the few of the guests that comes in, then we will start the first part of the sessions accordingly. So today's sessions, we're going to break into two parts. So mainly I'm Mr. Shang from the admission department. We'll be covering the first part of today's live trial class. So in my first part of the briefings, I'll be going through some of the backgrounds of the university, the program structure, and of course, any other questions the student has pertaining to the program, I'll be covering within this first 1 hour. And then after that, the delegates can actually join the live sessions for the DBA trial class, and then you will have the opportunity to interact with the lecturers and the rest of the classmates. Just sit in, relax, and no obligation. Treat yourself as a registered DBA student, and then enjoy the class in the second half. So to clarify that the DBA live trial class for the real live session, which is the part 2 of the sessions, will be conducted until 5 p.m. Malaysia time. Of course, in between of this period of time, let's say you join the session at 11 later, if you want to take a break in between, you may do so, and then you can join the sessions after that, right? So you can just feel free to come in and go in between of this period of time, and then the entire class will just end at 5. Of course, during that session, please just enjoy, get more interaction with the students and lecturers, so to have a real feeling of how the DBA real class is conducted. All right, so we'll just wait for a few more minutes, 1 or 2 more minutes for the rest of the delegates to come in, and then I shall start my first part of the session. Okay. What happened is, in my first part, as I mentioned earlier on, for the latecomers, I'm Mr. Shang from the admission department. So basically, my session is going to brief you through on the details such as the background of the university, what are the achievements, who are our students, where are they coming from, and then going into the program structures, the details. Of course, in between, as I mentioned, if you have questions, just feel free to ask me in the chat box, and then I'll be answering them accordingly. Okay, all right, let's start off with the first part of the session. So today we are going to brief you through on a few things. So during my first part of this briefing, I'm going to cover a few topics, which includes the background of Mantissa, because this is where we are coming from. So it is very good for us to give you some understanding so that you know where we're coming from, what are our achievements, our accreditations, our credentials and everything. And then the second part is we're going to cover through a little bit further on the background, the awarding university of this DBA program, which is the IPE-PPA France. So who they are, where they are coming from, and of course their achievement as well. In a later part, we're also going to talk through a little bit further on, why a candidate should study a DBA program, what are the benefits that you can get out of this qualification. Of course, most importantly, we will also cover the differences between a DBA and a PhD, because these are some of the frequently asked questions by the students. Of course, we'll also go through the lecturer background, so you can see where are they coming from, the credentials, and how can their experience actually, assist students in writing a good thesis and paperwork. And then later on, the students' backgrounds, because DBA, going for a DBA program isn't just studying, getting your qualifications, but it is also an opportunity or platform for most of our candidates to exchange network. Probably you would like to take a DBA program because you want to have a different breakthrough, right? You want to have a new concept, and then it is very good for you to interact with other students which come from different parts of the world, and their credential is pretty strong. Yeah, so you will have a lot of opportunities to join all our students with good and strong, solid backgrounds. and then it will give you a wider perspective when you're trying to craft a new concept in business theory. And then the last part, I'm going into the dry stuff, which includes the program structure, because this is still an academic program, which means you're required to go through the academic pathway a little. And then I'm going to touch a little bit on the program structure and how we offer this program, the breakdowns of the syllabus, and etc. And then lastly, we'll go into the Q&A. So these are all the topics that we're going to cover throughout my first part in this 1 hour. All right, so basically, let's start off with the first section, which is the background of Mantissa College. So basically, as mentioned, we are from Mantissa College. We are actually based in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail. Mantissa College basically is the tertiary education. We was established since 1999. And counting this year, 2021, we're now 21 years of operation. So basically, we are located physically at Taman Tun, TDDI in short, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Of course, if you have the opportunity to drop by Taman Tun, please feel free to drop by at our campus as well. Usually during the normal seasons without COVID, students would like to join the sessions on the weekend, and then after that they can have a lot of amenities around. Yeah, we have a lot of cafes, banking facilities, retail shops, etc. So it is very cozy environment for students to study and then have a lot of networking around that area, right? So in terms of our history and credential, we are not a new institution. In fact, throughout our operations of 21 years, we have successfully graduated, across all programs, around 15,000 plus of students, right? We have managed to graduate 15,000 plus of students ranging from over 50 countries. So in fact, we do have a lot of experience in handling students from all regions of the world, which of course, primarily, we graduated a lot of Malaysian students. We also graduated students from Southeast Asia, which includes Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnamese students. And then moving on to South Asia, we graduated students from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, etc. Even Central Asia, we do graduated students from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and etc. And of course, lastly, the African region as well, which includes Ghana, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and etc. So in fact, we do have a lot of experience in managing students from different parts of the world. And we do understand what are the expectations from all the students coming out from internationally as well as Malaysian candidates. Of course, moving on, we are proud to say that Mantissa College, we are the first college in Malaysia that offers the complete series business program with full accreditation. So what it means by it means that we have successfully offered all the ranges or levels of business programs, starting from doctorate levels, master's levels, degree, diploma, certificates program in business view, and all these programs that we offer are fully accredited by the MQA, the Malaysia Qualifications Agency. So how these MQA accreditations help students is very simple. So for Malaysian students, as long as the program is fully accredited by the MQA, if you are Malaysian students and later on you plan to work in the civil service department, which is the government sector, yes, you can actually bring your, let's say, doctorate certification, go to Putrajaya and get the necessary government endorsement, and then you can apply formally into JPA, the civil service department who screen through the applicants. For foreign students, if you are foreign students, once you get a program that is fully accredited by MQA, it means that when you finish a program, you can actually bring again, these doctorate certificates to the Malaysia Higher Education in Putrajaya to get the stamping, the endorsement, we call it, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as your embassy here in Kuala Lumpur. So it means that when you return to your home country, your government in your home country will recognize this qualification as well, right? So these are some of the benefits, because it is very important that you spend your time and investment in a qualification. You don't want that to be in waste. So this accreditation is one of the most important aspects in terms of the program selection. Right, moving on to the last pointers about Mantissa College. We are proud to say that we're one of the largest DBA centers for students. That's because on average we have now active students going through at different stages in the doctorate program. We have about close to 70 plus doctorate students studying with us. Of course, I'm not saying that all 70 of them are in the class, because some of them are, say, 60% of our 70 students are now into their thesis section. So students won't be seeing them in the class, because those candidates who are in the class are now doing the core subjects. They are in the year 1. But those who are in the year 2 and onwards, they are now doing their individual thesis writing in the supervision stage. But all in all, we would say that we're one of the largest, as the tertiary education provider in Malaysia, we host one of the largest DBA faculties in the country. All right. Now, moving on to the next part, which is the some of the awards that Mantissa College has achieved previously, because being a registered institution here in Malaysia, throughout our operation since 1999 until now, we have received various, in fact, these are some non-conclusive, what do you call, the list is not exhaustive, which means we still have a lot of rewards and awards. And these are some of the profiles. I think it's important for students to understand some of the rankings that we have achieved directly from the Ministry of Higher Education. All right, so these are some of the awards that we achieved along. Now, moving on to the background of the university, basically, in terms of the qualification, so this is a in collaboration program. It means that students will have the opportunity to study with us. It can be online DBA or even face-to-face DBA, yeah? So when the students study with us for this doctorate program, upon completion of this program, the students will be receiving the French awarded doctorate qualification. So the awarding body of this qualification is awarded by the French university known as the IPE-PPA France. The full name of this university, of course, you can see it from the slides over here. So it means that it will not mention Mantissa College or Malaysia, or even if you're going for online DBA, it won't mention online DBA. So the final certifications and transcript will just look exactly as the students is going for a face-to-face program directly with the university. So there's no mention of Mantissa or Malaysia. So you can actually get a foreign awarded qualification with no mention of local providers. Of course, it's just some background about this university, IPE-PPA. Basically, they are a private university originated from France, in Paris. In fact, their home campus, the physical setup are all located in Paris, France. And as of now, 2021, they have 6 major campuses located across the Paris, the capital of France. So basically, this university is an approved university by the Ministry of Higher Education back in France itself. And of course, the IPE-PPA is approved by the French state, right? And of course, the program is also listed under this RNCP list. So it means that students who want to, in the future, if they plans to go for career enhancement in European Union and etc., yes, it is recognized by the Schengen, which means the European Union and globally as well. All right, so let's move on to the important aspect of today's topic. So DBA or PhD. So I do receive a lot of inquiries from students throughout these many years. And students are always asking our advice on, should I be taking a DBA and PhD, or what are the differences or similarities between these two qualifications? So I would like to take this opportunity today to just explain in brief. I'll try to go as short and simplified as possible for clearer understanding. So first thing first, in terms of the level, the similarities, I'll say, in fact, DBA and PhD, these two qualifications are actually academic qualifications, right? So it means that both of these DBA and PhD, they are known as the highest level, known as the level 8. In Malaysia, we call it the level 8 qualification. That is under the Malaysia qualification framework. Yeah. So just a brief outline, for your information. So in tertiary educations, we always start with level 3, which is the certificates level, which is after post-secondary. And then when we move out, level 4 is diploma, diploma qualification. Move out, level 6 is degree. Level 6 is degree. Level 7 is master's, and level 8 is doctorate. So I would say that both PhD and DBA, they are known as the level 8 academic qualification. And of course, the similarity means that regardless if you're going for a DBA or PhD, you will be getting the doctor title in front of your name. You can print it out on your name card once you have completed this program. So you can actually bear the doctor title upon completion of this program. So in terms of the differences, I would like to focus on differences because this is where most students are still undecisive between these two. So let me just go through the differences between a DBA first, right? So basically, a DBA program is known as the Doctor of Business Administration program. Globally, I'm not saying Mantissa, but I'm saying globally across the world, DBA is considered as something which is rather new. Yeah, it's not traditional, it's something rather new. Basically, this is created, it's created by a lot of institutions around the world. This level is created, it's catering for successful business person, right? So which means that you are a business person, you are in the market for many years, and you come to a point where you are feeling stagnant, and then you are looking for new challenges of ideas. Then you may need to consider a DBA qualification. I'll go into that in details to explain further. So that is the differences between a DBA program. And then on the other hand, PhD, right? PhD. I would say that the differences in terms of PhD is a more traditional academic qualification. They have longer years of history. Yeah, it's usually very popular with Ivy League university like Harvard, Oxford, NUS. There's research-based university, etc. Yeah, so they would actually offer a PhD because they have longer history. Yeah, of course, in terms of the career goals, right? Career goals for PhD students. So you have to ask yourself a question. In the future, if let's say you have that in mind, okay, in the future I would like to switch my work, right? And I want to work in a university environment, and I want to write a lot of thesis paper and research. Then probably PhD is suitable for those kind of candidate, because the ultimate career goal is into academic. I'm not saying part-time academic, I'm saying full-time academic, where you would rather sit down in the office and write research, do a lot of research, taking grants, and do a lot of what you call research and development. Then PhD would be something that is suitable. But on the other hand, a DBA, it's very much catered for corporate person, which means that you are an entrepreneur. You can be a self-employed person. You have your own company, or you are a senior manager of certain corporations, and then you are feeling stuck in certain way, and then you want to have something new that you can discover yourself. But ultimately, you don't think that you want to be a full-time lecturer, maybe a part-time lecturer, but not a full-time lecturer. Then a DBA qualifications may be suitable for you, because your intention at work is towards corporate section, which means you still have that passion to work in corporate world and not purely academic work. Then DBA is very much suitable for this group of students. All right. So the second pointers that we can go through in terms of differences will be the learning structure. Students who go through a DBA structure, as I said, is a newer program. DBA is a newer program. So the model was actually an enhanced model from the master's level. I believe everyone's here, you have gone through your master's qualifications, and you do understand that previously when you've gone through your master's qualification, you need to attend classes, for your master's classes, and then later on, depending on your university and program, you may need to do a master's project. So it is very similar in the DBA structure, whereby when you come into a DBA program, you need to actually go through with core subjects, right, to understand the concept at the higher level, level 8 level. And then later on in the part 2 of this program, you will need to do your doctorate thesis writing. Yeah, so you can see that doctorate DBA structure would require you to attend classes, followed by a thesis component. That is a DBA structure. On the other hand, a PhD structure, right, the candidates wants to join a PhD program since day one, they are expected to write the thesis since day one. So there's no component of lecture. Maybe there are some workshop, but it's not official lecture. So they are required to work, hands in hands with the supervisor to get the writings done. So they may spend probably, let's say, 5 years on average, 6 years, 7 years, or some of them 8 years, depending on how complex are the titles, to complete that research writing. That is for a PhD, all right? Moving on to the next differences on these two program. For doctorate program, it is what they call the core ideas of learning. I would say the learning outcome of a DBA structure is for students or a person who requires less extended existing theory, right? Instead, their great contribution. So it means that it is very suitable for a DBA program. It is very suitable for candidates who plans to you have a concept in mind because of your working experiences, and then you plan to actually do something new. As I said, you are stuck somewhere in the career, and then you plan to actually develop a new concept, but you're not sure if your concept really works. So that is where you need to go through a DBA program as a platform. You will have opportunity to get new insights, discussion with your lecturers or supervisor to see if your ideas and concept would really work, because you will need to be tested in various aspects. And then once you have gone through the testing period, when you finish this program, you can actually try to apply whatever you have discovered into your own company or even into your environment that you think you require that. So that is the learning outcome of a DBA program, which means you are taking an existing theories out there, and then you enhance it, you modified it, that caters to your environment, and then you applied it. That is the learning outcome of a DBA program. On the other hand, the PhD program requires a candidate to figure out completely new ideas, but based on academic theories. So it means that you are academicians who go into a PhD program, and then eventually you want to look at existing academic theories. You think this is not good enough. You want to enhance or create your own theories. Then you need to spend at least years, 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years to complete the academic theory. So these are some of the distinguished differences between these two. The bottom line, it means that DBA is very much catered for those who want to enhance themselves, but their passions, right, career passions, it very much remains at the corporate world. That is catered for a DBA candidate. But on the other hand, if let's say a person have a lot of passions in the academic, they want to work full-time, the keyword is full-time academicians, they want to create theories for academician world, then PhD is much more suitable for them. So these are some of the differences between these two. And of course, if you have more questions about the differences or similarity, you can always try to speak to us. As I say, don't worry, if there's a question, you can always just fill up the comment box down here. Then I'll be trying to answering all the questions accordingly. All right, so let's move on to the next component, which we are going to talk about the background of our students. Right, so basically a DBA program that we offer here at Mantissa College, it's not just academic qualifications that the students just go in, get a qualification, etc. So basically, a lot of our students will also take this as the opportunity to do networking. Of course, during the class, they will have a lot of opportunity to do a lot of discussion so that a so-called concept can be looked at it from different perspective, because we have a lot of students coming from different industry. They have different skills, backgrounds, and experiences. So whenever a candidate is sharing their ideas, yes, you will see that's the blowing effect, which means that a lot of students will explode their ideas, will discuss their ideas, and then they are able to express them accordingly. So these are some of the backgrounds of our students, where they're coming from. At least you know who you will be mixing if you join in the program. So in terms of age, I'll say that on average age, we have younger students from 20 plus, 30 plus that joins in the program up to the senior classes, which means they are somewhere around 69 years and above. On average, most of our students are aged around 40 plus or 50 plus, and that is the age group. In terms of gender, if you're keen to know that, then I'll say there's a break between females and male students. So 72+% are coming from the male sections, and then the remaining 27% are female students. So in terms of entry requirements, officially to apply for our DBA program from IPE-PPA, they are required, candidates must possess a master's qualification. It don't have to be a master's in business qualification, but as long as your master's qualification is awarded from a valid university, and that is fine. So it can be a master's in other field, but as long as you have working experiences in business world, such as you may have a master's in, let's say, engineering, for example, but when we look at your CVs, your credential, we notice that you spend most of your years, 20 years, 30 years, working as the director of the company. So you're dealing with business dealings, you have a contract with other companies, you have business experiences, then you can be accepted into this DBA program as well. So let's look at an average on our existing students. What are the entry requirements or where they are coming from? So I'll say that 68% of them possess a master's or a postgraduate qualification. 14% are overqualified, whereby 14% of our students already possess a PhD qualification, and yet they still want to take the additional qualification, which is our DBA program. Because as I say, the two elements are completely different. PhD is more into academic writing, but some of these candidates later on, they say, oh, after spending time, I got my PhD, I may want to do some small business or self-business in the future. So I need some business concept that is relevant to the business field. That is why they are taking out a DBA program as well, so that they can have the both of the best world, right? So 18% are with another DBA, which means we have 18% of our students already have a DBA program from other university, but they still want to take out additional DBA qualification. And of course, these are some of the backgrounds of a qualifications, academic qualification background for students who are currently enrolled with us. So in terms of international students or students where they are coming from, we do have students, as I mentioned, from all over the world. At present, we have students coming in from Borneo section. We have students coming from Indonesia, Malaysia locally. We have students coming from Myanmar, Burma, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, India, Yemen, UK, and many more. So in fact, we have students coming from all over the world. As I mentioned, we have both structure, either the face-to-face DBA structure or the online DBA structure. So it is very convenient. Students will have to decide which options they want to go for, and then all of them will come through the same channel, right? So in terms of annual income, we have did a recent survey somewhere around 2020 on the income gap, right, or what they call the income threshold of our existing students or even graduates. This is because over there in France, in Europe, they would always like to do their so-called quarterly or bi-yearly audit. They would like to see how relevant the program offers and deliver, where are the students coming from, their credentials, and how would these program actually benefited our students. So these are some of the income gaps that we are able to get in. This is the average income that our students are getting, right? So I would say that most of our doctorate students are holding high positions, portfolios in the country or also abroad. Yeah, so it will be a very good opportunity for students to join and mingle with them, right? Because you will have a lot of perspective when you share ideas. You may be looking at the single issues from different perspectives, such as different countries have different policies. Some of them are coming from different agencies. Some of them are coming from, let's say, academic background. Some of them are coming from industrial listed company. Some of them are SME. Some of them are from the government departments. Some of them are from the ambassador perspective. So all of them will have a different perspective, and it is very good for you as students who are going through this business journey to have a wider perspective. So by the time you graduate from this program, you know exactly how to tackle an issue in a more objective way. All right, so let's move on to the next structure, also on the student's background. So in terms of the student's background, I'd say positions-wise, as I mentioned, keep on saying that most of them are holding high positions. So these are some of the illustration from 10 different industries. So I'll say that 47% of our existing students, they are currently having a position of groups executive directors, operation directors, a CEO, general manager, founder of the companies, and corporate advisory. And then follow through, we have the second group of students, we call it the group 30%. So they are the COO, operational financial analyst, the associate vice chancellor from university, and etc. The last group, what we did last 23% of our students, they are the head policy programs, township management, executive solutions of sales, and project manager. So these are some of the portfolios of our students where they are coming from. As I said, we have students coming from all aspects, yeah, public, private, listed, non-listed, even ambassador. So you can choose which one or which groups you want to do later on. So that will give you an advantage when you complete this program. All right, let's move on to the reasons, like why study a doctorate program. So basically, we did also check with our students on what makes you take up a DBA program. Most of them, they have incomes, right, high incomes. They have good positions, yeah. They are mostly founders, top brass of the company. And we do pick up some of the surveys, and then we ask them, since you have everything, you have money, wealth, you have your positions, why are you still taking a DBA program? So what are the reasons? So these are some of the reasons why we have checked with our students, and these are some of the outcomes that were provided by them. So 32.6% of our students, after doing the survey, they told us that the reason why they're taking a DBA program is because they would like to learn advanced skill. Yeah, advanced skill means that they want to learn the up-to-date skill in the field of management skill, strategic planning skill, leadership, or learning big data. So because, as I mentioned, they are holding the top position of the company, perhaps the company has been in the same way of doing things for many years. It comes to a stage that they feel stagnant. Whatever they do, the same thing, the results always come out to the same results. So they want to have a breakthrough. That is where, these students, they felt that it is time for them to learn something new. Perhaps they are feeling something is missing, right, in the company. Then they try to learn new concept. So they are taking out a DBA program so that with the objective of learning new concept that they can apply back to the company. The other group of students, 31.6% of our students, says that the reason why they want to take out a DBA program is because they have these ideas in their mind that they already know roughly what they want to do, but they are not sure if it works. So that is why they are taking out a DBA program. When they go through the program, and for the core subjects, they want to gain more perspective as well. When they move into the thesis writing components, they want, most importantly, they want to have the so-called guidance, the one-to-one guidance between them and the supervisor to look across these models that they have. So in case there's any weaknesses or there's any flaws for improvement, then they hope to achieve some ideas and feedback out of it. So once they completed this program or the thesis writing, then they plan to actually apply or execute the ideas back into the company. So that is what we call the ability to transfer the study research back into the corporations. That is the ultimate objective of why some students are taking out a DBA program. Now, the third reasons why our students are taking out a DBA program is because they want to stand out from the crowd. So probably they are fighting for positions, they want to stand out from the crowds, and that is why they want to take out a DBA program. As I mentioned previously, even though you graduated from the DBA program, and that would actually give you the title of doctor. So you can actually use the DR doctor title. You can place in front of a name card as well upon completion of this program. And of course, some students are going for that because they want to stand out from the crowd. And then the remaining groups of why the students are taking a DBA program, 7.42% says it's for their own vision. So these are coming up from the elder group, the senior group, whereby they are somewhere the so-called managing director positions, but then they felt that previously they have been working in the corporate world for so many years. They have spent most of the time in the corporate building up businesses, and then probably they did not achieve the so-called academic qualifications that they want. So it is their vision to always upskill themselves. We do also have students whereby they tell us the reason why I'm taking out a DBA is because I want to inspire my children to study harder, even though they are at the elder stage, but they want to inspire their younger children. So yeah, you have a lot of interesting ideas and reasons why the students are taking out a DBA program. Of course, the last one would be self-satisfactory. 3.48% of our students say that it is for self-satisfactory. They felt that they achieve everything incomplete, such as academic-wise, they want to have a complete achievement financially and as well corporate. So yes, some of them are taking a DBA program because they want to fulfill the self-satisfactory needs, right? So this one, I would say, is survey taken up among our 40+ students. We didn't manage to get the whole group of 70+ because during the MCO, we are all working from home. And then that is so much we can cover, to get a quick survey at the end of 2020 before we lapse into the 2021 year, right? Now, these are some of the so-called feedback gathered by students. As you can see, I'm not sure you can see that well. These are some of our students. We did ask them, why do you want to take this DBA program? And these are some of the feedbacks in WhatsApp, because that's the only channel that we can ask them at that point of time, because we are all working from home because of the COVID situation. So yeah, these are some of the feedbacks gathered. So we actually asked across Malaysian and non-Malaysian candidates across different boards, such as they are holding different positions from different industry. Yeah, we did check with them on the survey on why do you want to take a DBA program? Yeah, not just because of Mantissa, but we're just asking general questions. We are curious to know what makes them, taking up a program as well. All right, so let's move on to the next one, will be the lecturer profiles. So this is also a frequently asked questions by students who are our lecturers, where they're from. I'll say that 90% of our lecturers are Malaysian lecturers, all right? Meanwhile, I'll say that 10%, sorry, that's a typo. I'll just correct it here. 10% are non-Malaysian lecturer, right? So I'll have to assure the student is for all the lecturers, it doesn't matter they are Malaysian lecturers or foreign lecturers, before they are allowed to teach a DBA program, reassured that their qualifications are properly screened through and approved by the Ministry of Higher Education, which means that those lecturers who are appointed must have a valid teaching permit. That's number one. That is issued by the Ministry of Higher Education. Number two, their credentials were usually screened through by the university in terms of working experiences, which means that the university will actually probe the appointed lecturer's profile, make sure they have the relevant working experiences, so that they have the expertise to teach in the respective subjects. So once the student have the good component between these two, the academic as well as the industrial, only then they are allowed to be appointed as a lecturer to teach this program. All right. So I'll say that in terms of the years of working experiences, our lecturer possess mainly on average 15 to 20 years of industrial experiences. And of course, our lecturers are coming up from at least 18 different industries. So we do have lecturers coming in from, let's say, academic world. We have lecturers coming up from the financial world. We have lecturers coming up from a port logistic, engineering, international business trade, ICT, I'd say corporate government, governmental as well, or ex-civil service department as well. So we do have a lot of lecturers coming from different industry, as well as they all possess the necessary academic qualification. So this is very crucial because ultimately when the students are going into the program, they want to achieve something, right? So you want to be supervised or facilitated by a tutor that knows this stuff. So it is very important so that it will actually enhance the learning experiences of the students when they come abroad into this program. All right. So of course, if you require more details on the lecturer profile, just feel free to contact me. Later on, I'll provide my WhatsApp number as well as the email, and then we can actually send you a PDF because it's 20 pages long. Let me just show you, if I can just show you some of the glimpse. Just one moment. Okay, I may show you some, but as I say, this whole lecturer profile, it's 20 plus pages long. I can't be showing everything over here, but if you're keen to read through deeper, just let us know. Okay, I have opened now. Let me just see how to share. Just one moment. Let me just share this with you. Okay, so I can roughly show you, this is the lecturer profile. It's in PDF. It's about all the credentials, the background, where our lecturers are coming from. As I say, if you're interested to read more, to understand where our lecturers are coming from, who they are, what have they achieved, let us know later on in emails or WhatsApp. I'll be WhatsApping you and providing this credential for your better understanding. All right, so these are some of the lecturer profiles. Okay. Okay, so let's come back to the slide. Sorry. Right, sorry. Okay, now let's move on to the next component, which is the program structure. So program structure, basically, it's a bit dry stuff, but before I move into program structure, just wonder if there's any other questions you have in mind. If you have, please leave the comments in the chat box, then I'll be more than happy to actually assist you. So this is the chat box. So I've just written the text in the chat box. So if you have any questions pertaining to the program itself or anything else, just feel free to write in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to actually answer some of the questions, right? Okay, so I'll just move on a little, which would be the dry stuff, the program structure. So basically, this program that we are doing here at Mantissa College is the Doctor of Business Administration program. In short, we call it DBA program, which is in collaboration with the French university known as the IPE Management School of Pau Paris Autonomous, IPE-PPA, meaning that students have the opportunity to study with us. Doesn't matter it's via face-to-face or online, but at the end of this study journey, you will be receiving this French awarded doctorate qualification. Now, although this program is originated from French institution, but since this program is managed by us, Mantissa College, we are based in Malaysia. It is a Commonwealth country, so we have to change the language to English. So the learning structure, the lectures, the assessment, everything will be done in English, right? So in terms of the study duration, so I'd like to clarify there are two structures. The first would be the face-to-face structure. Of course, I would say that this is applicable when things get normal in Malaysia, because currently the COVID cases are spiking. But once the COVID cases are in control in the future, then yes, if you like to go for the face-to-face lecture, then your study duration for this DBA program is spread across minimum 6 semesters to a maximum 15 semesters. On the other hand, if you are going for the online DBA program, then your structure are calculated by month and not by semester. That would be 24 months minimum to a maximum 60 months. Let me just give a further explanation about the semester structure. So just to clarify, for face-to-face students, as we mentioned 6 semesters, just to clarify, in a year, we have 3 major semesters in a year, known as the April semester, which means April to July, that's known as April semesters. We have the August semesters, August to December, and then lastly, the January semester. So we have 3 semesters in a year. So when we mention 6 semester, it means by roughly 2 years, or when we mention 15 semester, it means by roughly 5 years, right? So these would be the minimum and maximum study duration of this program. So regardless how, as I mentioned earlier on, so since this program is fully accredited by the MQA, the Malaysia Qualifications Agency, which is a auxiliary body responsible for the quality assurance of the program delivered here. So under their framework, this program is classed as 80 credits structure, which means that when you finish your doctorate qualification with us, you will be receiving in 80 credits so-called doctorate qualification. So the 80 credits qualifications, or we call it the 80 credit weightage, are spread across 11 subjects. Now, it means that in order for you to graduate this doctorate qualification, you need to complete 11 modules in total. Now, these 11 subjects are separated into 2 components. Under the part 1, that's what we call it the core subjects component, consisting of 8 core subjects, which means that you're required to go through the 8 core subjects to complete the part 1 of this program structure. Later on, the part 2 is comprising of the subjects 9, 10, and 11. These 3 subjects is deemed as a singular component of your doctorate thesis writing. So in terms of the so-called class schedule, let me just show you a later. All right, so this one is basically what we just mentioned. So the structure would have 11 subjects in total. So the first 8 subjects requires lecture, because these 8 subjects will be offered and delivered to students in a modular basis. Meanwhile, the part 2 would be the so-called research or thesis component. Now, let us just move into the part 1. Yeah? For these 8 core subjects, these 8 subjects will be offered and delivered to students in a modular basis. In simpler terms, modular basis means by 1 subject is offered at a singular point of time, spreading across 6 weekends. Let me just show you an example on the class schedule here in the slides for better understanding. Now, assuming that you're joining in the next class, say in April, right? So in the month of April, we have 4 weekends, yeah, in a month. So basically, on the first weekend, student is required to, well, you will be taking subjects 1, subjects 8. So you're required to attend classes on the first weekend. Following Malaysia time, 10 o'clock in the morning ends at 5 p.m. for the first Saturday. Now, if you are a face-to-face student and once the COVID situation gets better, it means that you need to come physically to our campus here in Tamatun to attend the class. Likewise, if you are an online DBA student, you just need to join the same sessions, but via Zoom online. Yeah, that is meant for online students as well. And then on the second Saturday, which is the following week, the Saturday, you're also required to attend the class from 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. for the same subjects, which means back-to-back 2 Saturdays for the same subjects. Later on weekend 3 to 5, you don't need to attend any official classes. Those are the free time for you to complete the necessary assignment. Now, between of this period, if you have any questions pertaining to your assignment, you can always reach out to your lecturers within that weeks, right? So just remember, as a doctorate student, on the weekend number 6, there's no classes, but it is your deadline for you to submit your assignment. Now, the assessment structure for one subject is only requiring, we only requires one assignment for per subjects, right? So which means there's no exam, and at the end of the weekend number 6, you're only required to submit a 5,000 words of assignment and complete that particular subjects. So once you understand this concept, all you need to do is just to repeat this process again for another 6 weekends for the subjects number 2 and so on. In fact, for all these subjects number 8 here, these 8 subjects, you will be going through this exact structure of learning structure for every single subject, every 6 weekends, and so on, right? So that is the part 1 structure or teaching schedule arrangement. Now, in terms of the part 2 of the structure, that is where you will start off with your doctorate thesis writing. To clarify, these 3 subjects is known as a singular component of your doctorate thesis. So it means by, subjects number 9 is known as the coverage status for your completion. When you are writing your chapter 1 and 2, that is known as your subjects number 9. Then your subjects 10 is known as your writing topic coverage for chapter 3 and 4. Just to recap, right? Chapter 1 and 2 is where you need to write introductions, your objective, and the hypothesis of your research. Those you need to write in your chapter 1 and 2. Later on, for subjects 10, as I mentioned, you need to write the chapter 3 and 4. Chapter 3 is more into the data collections, such as your primary data collections and your secondary data collections. Those are all in the chapter 3. And then chapter 4 is where you need to include the necessary modeling, such as SPSS modelings or any interpretation modelings for you to crunch and interpret your data. Those are all happening in chapter 4. And then lastly, the subjects 11, it's known as the chapter 5. The chapter 5 is known as where you're writing the summary, recommendations, and conclusions. So these will complete the component of the 5 chapters. So basically, when you're writing, we don't just let the students write yourself. No. In fact, as and when you're writing through, let's say you start off with subjects number 9, you will need to go through supervision stages. So which means that while you're writing your chapter 1 and 2, before you start your work, you need to go for a briefing. So during that briefing, the chief examiner or the chief supervisor will brief all the newly candidates on what would be the expected format. As what I mentioned to you earlier on, it's similar, but in a more detailed structure, right? So once you understand this concept, you're also given time to formulate your research title. You need to propose, let's say, 10 or 20 titles of your research titles, and then we will do peeling process. Peeling process is where, when, let's say, a student have decided, this is my title, before you even start your work, the lecturer will start doing peeling process, such as asking you, what is the objective of your research? If you know how to answer, that's good. They'll move on to ask, where would you get your data? Are you using primary or secondary data? If you say yes, then they'll ask on, are those data considered as secret or sensitive by the respective organizations? If you got the consent, if there's a way for you to get the consent, then yes, you move on. If you don't have that consent, you think you can't get it because those data may be secret by certain companies or institution, then you may need to readjust back. So we will keep on going through this peeling process, make sure you have a complete ideas on what is the journey, right? So what would be your study pathway? Once you have that fixed, then you will start off with the chapter 1. So that is where you will start writing. You will have your time frame given to write your chapter 1 and 2. Of course, during that time, you're also required to read publications, which we will provide those so-called materials and portal as well. Of course, you may read up additionally as well, but the basic structure is we will provide you with a structure for you to write, for you to read. Once you have read through these journals and articles, then you can actually express it in your writing in chapter 1 and 2. So yeah, those are the structure that you will go through and forth within the writing, and then you will complete that by stages. Now, towards the end of this writing, let's say you have managed to complete all chapter 5 by spending some time with the supervisor, but towards the end, before you graduate from this program, you are also required to attend a mandatory viva voce sessions. So basically, that is a so-called presentation sessions, we call it, viva voce. it will be observed by 3 appointed university supervisors. So the 3 appointed supervisors will observe the sessions. During that time, not only you are required to present your case, but questions will be posted. So all the questions that's posted, you must answer them. And once you have satisfied the panels, only then you will qualify to get the doctorate qualification. All right, so this is the example on the study pathway for you to complete this program. Now, of course, some students may ask, is there a mandatory structure for me to do publication? Just to clarify, yes, you are required to do the publication, but don't worry, there won't be any extra so-called time or efforts needed, because your one thesis that you're writing here for subjects 9, 10, 11, that piece of work will be used as your first publication. So that is the university requirement, which means whatever work that is done by the students, the university will publish your work into the publications track. So at least that starts off with your one records. Of course, in the future, as a candidate, if you want to publish more paper in the future, you may proceed to doing so. But of course, as the basic requirements of this program is pretty straightforward, your final thesis will be deemed as a publication work, right? So that is how we complete this structure. So another question that is posted by students, it's on how can I actually complete this program in, let's say, 2 years or 3 years? So to clarify, yes, it is very possible. Of course, most of the time we would say that students are able to complete our doctorate program, the 8 core subjects and the writing in 2 years, some of them in 3 years, or some of them in 4 years. But I would say on average, I have to be honest with you, on average, most of our students are able to complete everything, the 8 core subjects and the thesis in 3 years. That is the best time frame, I'll say. No rush, and you have just the sufficient time to write a basic thesis work. So in terms of writing stage, which is the part 2, basically we usually provide students with a blueprint. A blueprint is as and when you're starting, before you even start writing your subjects number 9, your chapter 1 and 2, we will give you a blueprint, so-called draft. That blueprint will look like this. So we'll give you a text on schedule without any delay. You should be able to complete this structure, not in the rush format, but in 2 years. Yeah, these are the structure, the blueprints that we will give out to students so that you can have the opportunity to actually complete that in 2 years. Of course, as I say, there are some students who want to rush things up, which means that probably they already have a PhD. Yeah, so to them, if they're having a PhD, writing a DBA shouldn't be a big problem. So they think that they can actually do that. Yes, you can actually shorten out the duration as well. So it means that you need to do things much faster. Of course, in details, we can actually discuss that so that we can look through each and every of the candidates' backgrounds and credential, and then we will advise you accordingly. Yeah, so I would say that ultimately students on average are able to complete our DBA program, including of the 8 core subjects and the final thesis component across 2 years minimum, 3 years, or up to 5 years. So that is all variable depending on the student's progression. All right, so let us just move on to the last component before we almost complete these sessions today, my end. So the next structure would be the fee structure. So what would be the fee structure for this program? So as I briefed earlier on, under this program, we do have 2 modes of study. First is the face-to-face study, which means that during the normal situation without COVID, you will need to attend classes via face-to-face, which means for the 8 core subjects, you need to come to our campus and then attend the classes accordingly. On the other hand, we do have the online DBA structure. It means that with or without COVID, you just need to attend the classes via online. So in terms of the fee structure, it's very simple. Let us just go through some basic understanding. So just to clarify, for those who are going for face-to-face structure, all right, face-to-face structure, your billing cycle is issued to you on a semester basis. To recap, in a year, we have 3 major semesters, known as the April semesters in the month of April, known as August semesters, as well as the January semester. It means that in every single unique month, these 3 months, in every year, in every month, April, August, and January, that is where the college will issue a bill and invoice for the students to pay the fee. So how we pay the fee is very simple. The first semester fee for those Malaysian students or international students who don't need visa, but you want a face-to-face structure. I'll just write it here, sorry. right? For those who want a face-to-face structure, the first semester you just need to pay a 5,000 ringgit. And then the second semester, you just need to pay 4,500 in the second semesters. And the same thing goes for third semesters and so on. Example, if you choose to come in for the face-to-face structure starting your first class in April you pay 5,000. And then your second semester in August, you pay 4,500 in August. And then in January 2022, you pay 4,500 in January, and so on, right? The same thing goes for international students. If you are international students who need to apply for a student visa here, just to clarify, the student visa is inclusive of your year one insurance, your year one student visa, your airport pickup fee, your post-medical checkup fee, your EMGS application fee, the program tuition fee for the first semester. So for international student, the first semester fee is slightly higher, what would be 15,000 payable in the first semester, but the subsequent payment from semester number 2, as I illustrated earlier, will be the same, 4,500 per semesters, right? And then for those who are going for online structure, basically, I'd like to bring to attention that your structure is going according to month, yeah, not semester, by month. So it means that in the first month, you would just need to pay 3,000 in the first month, and then on the second month onwards, in every single month, you just need to pay 1,000. Example, if you start your first online structure in the month of April, you pay 3,000 in April, and then comes May, you pay 1,000 in May, in June, you pay 1,000 in June, and so on, right? So basically, this is how it works in the structure, and ultimately, we would like to say that we don't have a total cost fee. Yeah, we don't have a total cost fee. That is because, as I say, the total cost fee is very much dependent on the individual, which is you yourself. If you're able to complete your program, and I mentioned complete means you have successfully completed your 8 core subjects and your doctorate writing up to the final thesis or viva voce last amendment, which means there's nothing further to amend, right? That is the definition of completion. So if you're able to complete that within a duration of time, we will just charge you based on this format accordingly, which means that if you're able to complete this in 2 years, right, which means if you're going for face-to-face, 2 years means 6 semesters. You just need to do this times 5 plus 1. So that is the total cost fee that you will be paying, right? So the same thing goes for online structure. If you are able to complete this program in, say, 24 months, you only pay the cost that's involved within the 24 months and nothing more. Likewise, if you require to complete this program in 36 months, right, then you just need to pay according to the structure across 36 months. That is all. So ultimately, students, you yourself will decide what is the total cost fee, and then in bottom line is you will pay lesser fee if you're able to complete this program in an earlier durations compared to a friend of yours who needs a longer time to complete this program. Of course, don't worry, we will later on at the admission stage, once you submit the documents, we will print to you a proper calculations for you with the simulation for clearer understanding. But of course, this is just a concept since you're here for basic information. All right. So just wonder, before we end the sessions here, I'm going through the part 2. I'm not the lecturer, but I'm going to link you up with the second section where you are having the opportunity to join the live session. Before I go into that session, just wonder if there's any questions. Again, if you have any questions, put it into the program. Just feel free to write it in the comment box. I'll be more than happy to actually answer the questions accordingly. All right. So moving on, what next? So if to apply, right, just to clarify, the next available intake will start on the first weekend in month of April 2021. Of course, if you're keen to apply for that intakes by the 15th of March, right, interested candidates, you're required to email to us, right, to info@Mantissa with the following documents for a free academic screening. So it means that all you need to do is just to scan us the copy of your master's certificates. If you don't have a cert, then we need the letter of completion. That's number 1. The second document will be your master's transcript, and the third will be your CVs, your latest resume. You can actually send it to this email or WhatsApp to us for screening. So after we have received your documents, please give us 2 or 3 working days to go through. And if everything goes well accordingly, we will issue you with the conditional letter, and then you will decide if this is the correct program, this is the structure that you want, and you're happy with it. Only then you make the fees and join the program accordingly in April. Likewise, for international students, it's the same documents. If you're applying as an international or non-Malaysian student, you're also required to do the same thing by providing us with the search transcript CV. But for international students, please also provide to us with your passport copy. Yeah, so at least we can identify who our candidates are. All right, so please send us the necessary documents before the 15th of March to start your April semester. Right. So moving on, what next? So thank you so much for your time. I think that ends my first part of this briefing. Of course, if you are now ready to join the live sessions, yes, you may do so. All you need to do is to write, okay, I'm going to paste something, just a moment. I'm going to paste this in the comment box. So what happened is you can actually join the live session. I've actually written something. Okay, I've written something in the comment box together with a link. So what you need to do is just to click on the link, and then you will be directed to a page, right? That is the page of taking attendance. So please fill up your basic credentials, such as your names, your emails, and etc. Once you have filled up your credential, then you will be prompted with a Zoom login details, the Zoom link and the password. All you need to do is just to click on that, and then you will join the live sessions accordingly together with the class. As mentioned at the beginning of this series, so what I'm trying to say is this is a live sessions whereby today you will be joining in with the live lecture and with our existing students. The session will actually start now until 5 p.m. So in between of this, as the trial class delegates, if you have something to do in the middle, you can actually stop the session and then you can resume if you want to between the time until 5, which means today's session will end at 5 p.m. So of course, please enjoy the session. Of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to participate in the session. Just feel free to participate in the session. Of course, just interact, feel free to relax and join and enjoy the session. All right, so if there's no other further questions from the panels or delegates today, I thank you for your time. And of course, to do what you need to do now is to just look out in the comment box below this below this video, and then you should be able to find a link. All right, just click on the link, and then you need to fill out your basic credential to take the attendance, and then you will join the live sessions accordingly. All right. Okay, so thank you so much for your time and your patience. And of course, if you have any questions, just feel free to WhatsApp me. This is my contact number. I'm Mr. Shang from the admission department. And of course, I'll be more than happy to actually assist you from there. Okay, thank you so much for your time and happy weekend.